Hey guys, my name is Loveless, and this time we're back with the crack fic that I'm working on, or really reading. I'm not working on any of this. None of this stuff that I've been reading is my work whatsoever. No, none of it. I've of course put all the people that I'm reading in the description because I take no credit. I just read it. That's it. So we're back to an angry Midoriya is scary. It definitely is. So now we're at chapter 2. We're halfway through, kinda. So let's get straight into it. It was a Friday, so it was perfectly logical for Aizawa to think that he could finally take a nap without any interruptions, considering that the school week was over and there was nothing important going on. But logic seemed to go out the window when it came to his students. And now, here he was with an out of breath student who looked particularly pale and shaking as if he had seen a ghost or some other frightening creature. "What is it, Mineta?" he asked, and he could tell that he was going to have a headache for being so abruptly woken up by what seemed like a student practically running into his door. He waited for the student to catch their breath. Once he was breathing normally, Mineta spoke. I have to tell you something I said earlier," the boy said nervously. Aizawa raised an eyebrow, curious. "Is that so?" Mineta gulped and looked side to side as if looking for someone, but there was no one there. Yeah, and it isn't good, and you'll be angry, but I have to tell you." Aizawa's curiosity grew, especially at the tone that Mineta took when he said that he had to tell him. "Go on, Mineta." And Mineta did, although very hesitatively. Absolutely, something was making him feel like he shouldn't say anything, but there seemed to be something more pushing him to speak. He told the pro underground hero what he said regarding quirkless people, how he read the article about the quirkless student that killed themselves, and that he thought they did the right thing since they did not contribute to society, and how he thought the people who baited the quirkless student to kill themselves had done something useful. Throughout the whole retelling, Aizawa's eyes became sharp, and Mineta tripped over his words more, and his eyes went everywhere except on his teacher's face. Once he was finished, Mineta actually breathed a sigh of relief, which Aizawa thought was particular, considering that the boy was in a lot of trouble now that he told him what he had done. "First of all, Mineta, I am disappointed in you, and we'll have a meeting with the principal along with your parents as well." Aizawa paused, and Sai began to bring his hands up to his temple, a headache painfully there. "And second of all, why did you come here to tell me what you said? I would have thought that one of your classmates would have told me, not you." When Aizawa had said the second part, he saw that Mineta once again got nervous and looked around him. Again, there was no one there. I just had to, okay? If I didn't, he was going to do something," Mineta said as if he explained everything. But that only made Aizawa more confused. Who's he? Mineta looked like he was going to pass out, and his eyes frantically looked around his surroundings. Then he stepped closer to Aizawa and said something in a way that Aizawa heard pros utter the name of villains. "Midoriya." Back in the common room, everyone was chatting, although there was a noticeable difference in the air compared to what had been before. A certain someone terrified everyone, and a purple-haired boy had run out of the dorm's doors. And the atmosphere changed again when the homeroom teacher, Aizawa sensei, suddenly appeared, with Mineta, who looked like he was going to collapse. "Aizawa sensei, what are you doing here?" Ida asked. "I'm here to figure out what the hell is going on. Why was it Mineta who came to me instead of any of you?" At the question, there was a tangible silence in the air. Everyone had seemed to hold their breath. It was Tokiyami who broke the silence. "Sensei, It was Midoriya who told Mineta to go to you and confess his sins. He paused. He did so with anger in his heart. Tokuyami must have taken the silence and the look on Aizawa's face as an invitation to explain further. The bird-headed boy took a step closer to the teacher. Sensei, there was darkness in the air when Midoriya spoke to Mineta. He sucked the life out of the room and had told Mineta that if he did not go to you himself, that he would do something he would possibly regret. It was an ultimatum that Mineta dared not question as he ran out to find you, as you can see. Even dark shadows still will not come out, the boy said, putting a hand on his chest. Aizawa was in disbelief. Midoriya? Midoriya was the one who told Mineta to go to him? He was the one who made Mineta so scared that he kept looking around as if waiting for something to come out of the shadows? Midoriya was the one that seemed to make his classmates stop breathing when he asked about what was going on. That boy was the one who Tokuyami spoke with such a manner that only seemed to be fitting in a horror book. Aizawa looked around the room at the other students and had only met with nods of agreement. There was no one to contradict what had been said. Not even Bakugo, who was surprisingly silent. All of this was because Midoriya got angry? It was at that moment that there was a ding from the elevator, and out stepped Midoriya, who paused when he saw everyone looking at him. Once his eyes landed on Aizawa, the boy seemed to brighten up. "Oh, Sensei, you're here! So Mineta told you about what he said earlier, right?" The green eyes landed on Mineta, who seemed to stop breathing. "Yes, Midoriya, he did, and he's dealing with the consequences promptly." Midoriya smiled at his teacher's response. "That's good. Thank you, Sensei." Aizawa nodded, but spoke again, asking a question. "I was told that it was you who told Mineta to tell me what he said. How exactly did you get him to listen to you?" Around the room, Midoriya's classmates stiffened. Midoriya looked sheepish and rubbed the back of his neck. Well, he said as he was interrupted. It seemed that with Aizawa there, Mineta felt brave enough to interrupt the green-haired boy angrily. "You threatened me, and you were all creepy. And why did you even get angry? It's not like I'm wrong, and it has nothing to do with you. Why don't you just mind your business?" Mineta yelled at Midoriya, just behind Aizawa, who was angry by Mineta's outburst and how the boy was seemingly trying to defend what he had said earlier. Aizawa had turned his face to Mineta and turned on his quirk to show his anger. After a moment, he saw the boy pale, but he wasn't looking at him. He saw what Mineta was looking at, something behind him. And when he turned back, he saw Midoriya. And he finally understood why I had said Midoriya's name the way that he did earlier. Midoriya was looking at Mineta, but his sheepish expression was no longer there. Instead, it was replaced with dead eyes that seemed to look right through you, but also the darkest parts of you. He wasn't even looking directly at Aizawa, and yet the pro-hero froze. There was a suffocating aura that made it hard to breathe, much less move. In the back of his head, there was a familiar warning for him to run, that he would get encounters with certain villains in the dark of the night. But this wasn't a villain. This is his student. A student he has affectionately called Problem Child. He did not recognize the same student in those eyes, those dead eyes. The face that no longer had the smile he was so used to see in his classroom. And when he blinked, and when he opened his eyes again, it was gone. The aura, the warning, the dead eyes. And no one said anything. Aizawa looked back at Mineta, who had no expression on his face anymore, and didn't seem to be angry anymore either. Feeling uncomfortable, Aizawa broke the silence. Alright, Mineta, you're already in trouble, so no more of that. And Midoriya, he looked at Midoriya, who tilted his head with a question in his eyes that had warmth and light. Next time, just tell one of the teachers. What if next time he doesn't listen to you? For a moment, Aizawa could have sworn he saw something in Midoriya's eyes, but it was too quick to catch. Then Midoriya nodded. Yes, Aizawa-sensei. Alright, now it's getting late, so you guys need to start getting ready for bed or whatever it is you do when you should be sleeping, Aizawa said, which seemed to break everyone out of whatever state they were in. After he received multiple yes senseis, Aizawa started to walk to the doors, and when he looked back, he saw Midoriya in the elevator with a glass of water, probably what he had come down for in the first place. Once the elevator doors closed, he looked at the rest of the students and heard them when they started up their conversation again. Then he heard Kaminari say something that made him pause. Thank God he didn't smile again. When he did that, it was creepy as fuck. Yeah, dude, I never want to see Midoriya angry again. He was terrifying like that, Kirishima responded. And with that, Aizawa exited the dorms, trying to imagine a smile to the dead eyes that he had seen on Izuku Midoriya's face. Okay, that was close enough. Okay, yay! We got it done. Yeah. Okay, that is chapter 2. That is done. I will be getting chapter 3 pretty soon. I also need to go recording the other stuff. But if you want to see more of this, because this story is good and juicy, you know what to do.